تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير صدق الله العلي العظيم صلى الله على محمد وعلى آله.
Please stand for the national anthem.
The Gadigal people of the Euro nation. It is upon the ancestral lands our Zahra College is built on. As we share our own knowledge, teaching and learning within the college, may we also pay respect to the knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal
School Presentation Night. Please welcome Stanley.
One of our students on Monday, when I was telling everybody about what was the procedure for tonight, said when she found out that I was going to have to make a principal's address, she said, "But that'll be really boring, do you have to do it?" Unfortunately, you do have to do it, but I won't talk for very long. And for those who may have been here at the primary school presentation, some of it is repeated, but some of it is also relevant very much to the high school. As I said this afternoon to the parents and the students, it wasn't that long ago, or it doesn't seem that long ago, in January when I came here for not the first time, but the first time for the start of the year. And I started a little bit before other staff, but I also, there were some staff that were on board and I had to interview a few staff. And then we had a Year 7 orientation day just before the rest of the school came back. So we met Year 7 students, and I'm sure they can remember how different it was when they first came then than what it is now. I suppose the focus that we've had this year has been mainly on the high school. There's been also focus on the primary school, but the high school has been the main focus because we saw that there was a need to make a lot of changes, a lot of improvements and a lot of things that hadn't happened in the past to make it a truly good high school setting. We did have some instability in staff, and I know that parents have often spoken to me about staff that seem to just disappear, and that still happened a little bit this year. Now we have what I consider a stable staff. The students are developing a really good rapport with those staff, and I'm really excited about the future that we will have with our Zahra, the students and the staff that we currently have. It got to a stage where I had to go back into the classroom. Now, I enjoy being in the classroom, and the students know that. It provides us challenges as well, but it also meant that there were times where it just became a little overwhelming in how much had to be done when you're teaching as well. Next year I'll still take the Year 12s because they'd kill me if I didn't take them in Year 12. The big thing that we had and that we faced with so many new staff was the Board of Studies inspection. And this is an inspection that happens all the time in every school in New South Wales. But for this year, it was the first time that it was the whole school all at the same time. We had to submit the paperwork at the end of March, and we did all that and successfully submitted that. And then an inspection team came out for one day. And they were fairly thorough in what they did. They talked to people, they talked to me for most of the day. They looked at all the paperwork and had looked at it in the past. And we were very successful in being given a 5-year accreditation and registration, which is the normal process, but for some schools they don't get through it and they have to be inspected again the next year. The only exception to that is because we have Year 12 for the first time next year, they will want to come in and just monitor how we're going with Year 12. So that was a great thing, and it was a credit to the staff right through the school for the work that they did in getting that paperwork and preparation done. One of the things I suppose I've been really proud of, and it's very, very noticeable from the staff's point of view, I hope that it's noticeable from the parents and also from the students, is the initiatives in learning that have happened and the different way that you are now learning. And the students, I think, can recognise it. One of the great initiatives was the Year 8 Alphabet Street, and that's actually going to highlight during today's ceremony because we're going to show 3 videos that the Year 8s put together during that week of being in Sydney and then at Cockatoo Island. Assessments are different to what they used to be. Assessment isn't just about a pen and paper test. It isn't about learning something and then forgetting it after you've done the test. It's about learning how to learn. There's a common phrase in education called assessment for learning, and that is a really important aspect. It's not about necessarily what you don't know. It's about what you do know and being able to express that and show how much you know. And I think some of the 9s and 10s and the 8s in their Alphabet Street really got to show exactly what that's all about. And that will improve each year as the students, the staff, get to know more about what assessment means and how it really leads how you teach, and it leads what you teach and what you expect from the students. So that's quite exciting. That will continue as we continue through next year, and students will get very used to that. It's hard work. It's not as easy as studying for a test for 2 nights before and then sitting down and doing a 40-minute test or an hour test or whatever it may be. It's harder to be doing assessment all the time and working really hard. We introduced a house system, and it was so hectic and so busy. The house system hasn't worked as effectively as it will next year. We're going to talk more about the house systems after I finish talking, because next year the house system will be much stronger. We will have a head of house for each house, and they will take responsibility with the leaders in each house and work with those. It will involve part of the behaviour management system. It will also be part of the reward system. It will be for sport. It will be for academic. It will be a total encompassing of school life will be tied up with the house that you are in, with the heads of house leading that and driving that. So that's an exciting thing for the future. Sport, you were able to have lots of different opportunities. I don't think, when you think back what you've done for sport, when you don't have competitive sport, but to be able to play golf for the first time, to go surfing, to learn to swim in term 1, which will happen again next year. Some of you are good swimmers, some of you are not so good swimmers. The other things that you've done, the CrossFit, I know that a lot of people, even though it's made you very sore Thursday and Friday, have enjoyed the experience of doing the CrossFit. The other activities that we've done, and I can't think of all of them, there was tennis, the golf, the trampoline, all those sorts of things that you've had those opportunities to do. Next year, and I told you this before and we mentioned it on Monday, but this is the first time the parents have had a chance. Next year we are joining the associations that will enable us to progress to a further level, to be involved with gala days against other schools in different sports where we can form a team, put those teams together, maybe have a bit of practice and play against other schools, something that high school students haven't had before. In athletics, cross country and even swimming, if we've got anybody who is strong enough, we can go to the next level in terms of the carnivals, which then gives you the potential to go to the CIS level, which some of our primary school students have done over the years that they've been in primary school, and then it's stopped when they hit high school. Next year that won't need to stop, because we'll be joining those, so we have joined those associations, and you'll have the opportunities then to progress further. As I said to some people, if they were good enough to make the New South Wales soccer team and then the Australian schoolboys soccer team, those opportunities are now there that haven't been there before. So they can represent the school at the next level and just keep going, which has been really good. That should be up there. Okay. Parent involvement is something that I need to work on. I started the podcast, there have been some weeks where I just haven't got it out, but it's been fairly regular, but not many people have actually listened to the podcast to find out what's happened. Some students talked about things that they've done, to talk about what was happening. That will continue next year, and it would be really good if instead of, I think there's about 80 people who sometimes listen to that podcast, it was 300 people, so that they knew exactly what was happening. There was a parent survey that has been sent out. We haven't had enough response on that survey. If parents over the weekend can take the time to look at the email that was sent, open up the link, spend the 15 minutes on that, because part of how we can improve the school is to get the feedback from the parents, to find out what we worry about, what we're doing well, what we need to do better. Because you can't, and we tell this to the students all the time, you can't improve unless you have that feedback, and the feedback is so important. So please, I encourage you to have a look at that and have a look at that and complete that survey so that we can have a look at our strengths, our weaknesses, where we need to improve. One of the other things, as I said, is the parent involvement. Next year in February, I will be putting out information about forming a P&F for the parents, because it is something, an association for parents to help with major events, to help with fundraising for the school, to provide resources that we may not necessarily be able to have without that fundraising, is a really important aspect of parent involvement. And next year I want to make sure that's a priority, that parents formed this association, whatever we call it, P&C, P&F, and are actively involved in promoting the school and promoting events in the school. Students were told this also on Monday. We have some focus areas for 2015 in terms of students. Some of those focus areas are attendance. Notoriously, we have some students who are always late. We need to improve on that, and the focus next year will be for those students who are late, that there will be consequences and they need to be here well and truly before 8:30 when we start with the morning prayer and homeroom. So that's important for those students to get here. Also, attendance with taking days off. If you have a doctor's appointment, that's fine, but you come back to school. You don't miss out on school. And if you are away from school for very reasonable reasons, then you have to catch up. You have to be prepared to do that. And we need the parents' support to make sure that that happens. Uniform is another thing. Notes will go home regarding what the expectations for uniform are. It will be much tighter next year because we have more time to actually focus on that, more staff to actually focus on that. And parents may get phone calls if their students aren't in uniform saying, can you please come and pick them up, take them home, get them changed and bring them back in the correct uniform. There will be other procedures that we'll go through, related in some cases to heads of house and the house system, but there'll be lots of procedures that the students will know about. Talk to your son, your daughter about things that are happening because there will be a lot tighter in terms of the procedures for next year. And to finish off, I really want to have a big thank you. A thank you to the students who have accepted me and accepted the staff so willingly and have accepted the changes in their learning, the changes in their behaviour and the changes in the way that the school runs. I would imagine that to have you sitting here as quietly as you are now and listening very carefully and attentively and not doing anything silly, no teacher is having to move you or do anything, is showing how far and how big an improvement everybody has made, because it is a very different feel to the school now. Thank you to the staff. As I said, we now have a stable staff, a staff that are here for you, for the students to work hard for your learning. And I appreciate your work, and there has been a lot of work gone in the last few days by staff to get this end of year ready, planning for next year. There is so much work that they have done, so I really do appreciate the work the staff have done. And to the parents, because the parents have been very supportive of me. There are times where I get parents who aren't happy, but again, that doesn't worry me because I like to listen, I like to see what we can do better, and it's really good. We've had some very positive parent emails and responses, which has been something that makes us feel very nice that we're doing a good job. So thank you everyone, and now we're going to, and I'll flip this up a couple of times, we're going to announce the heads of house. And we're going to present them with what we call just a little token of the colours of the house and what they stand for. For Faith, Mr. Malcolm is going to be the head of house for 2015. For knowledge, Miss Mosley is going to be. And for wisdom, Miss Alreda. Now we're going to come to the awards section, and I'll hand over to Ms. Hawkins-Bennett, who will talk a little bit about the awards, and then we'll start presenting those awards to the students. And in between, we will have some videos, we'll have some different things, and the Year 11s will talk about their video and the preparation that they do in that.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. It's always an effort to get here, particularly on a Friday evening, but it's lovely to see you all, and it's very, very lovely to see our students looking so happy. and in Oxford, so I like that. It really is one of my greatest pleasures to get to introduce the awards, and we have 2 awards that we will present this evening to each of our year groups from 7 to 10, and then a different set of awards for our diploma students in year 11 this year. Our first award is for every subject that each student participates in. We've called it the Commitment to Learning Award. This award is given to a student who has shown consistent effort and a positive attitude to their learning. These students would have demonstrated a willingness to strive to be learners who reflect the attributes of the learner profile of the International Baccalaureate Program. The International Baccalaureate Program is one that looks at a student challenging themselves against themselves. Our students are not ranked against one another in a classroom setting, nor do we award presentations on the basis of top marks, but certainly on the basis of someone who's willing and consistent in their learning. The second award that we'll be presenting this evening to each of the year groups is the Imam Ali Award. This is an award that is given to a student who has consistently shown the behaviour and the attitude that reflects their Islamic faith. Characteristics such as honesty, devotion to Islam, generosity, and fairness are characters of a student who is nominated for this award. Our Commitment to Learning Awards for Year 7. For English, Nazia Zahidi. You can clap. For Science, Nazia Zahidi. For HSIE, incorporating History and Geography, Rayan Maki. For Personal Development, Health and Physical Education, Mariam Balaki. For Design and Technology Mandatory, Jawad Tanana. For Language Acquisition in the Language of Arabic, Layla Tawil. For Mathematics, Ali Sabra. For Islamic Studies, Jawad Tanana. For Visual Arts, Maya Weeby, and for Music, Mariam Kitesh. Our Imam Ali Award for Year 7 for 2014 is Mariam Kitesh. So the first video that you're going to see tonight is an example of the interdisciplinary project that our Year 8s undertook in November. The project was called Alphabet Street, and the theme for this year was the theme of hidden. So we took 37 intrepid Year 8 students, asked them to buy a local card, put them on a train and sent them into the city of Sydney for 3 days. During that period of time, we had students that walked 30, 40 kilometres. They spoke to homeless people. They went into museums. They went into the vaults of banks. They made their way to Redfern. They ended up in Koori radio stations. They did the Abbey Road Beetle walk across the rocks. They jumped on ferries. They jumped on buses. They made their way to Luna Park. And they really explored the hidden gems that is our city of Sydney. From there, we packed them off to Cockatoo Island in the middle of Sydney Harbour, where they camped out overnight. And the next morning, we brought them back to school, with all their equipment and all their knowledge and asked them to create a 3-minute video of one of the aspects that they found hidden in Sydney. So I'd like to welcome you to one of our first videos, which was exploring diversity in Sydney.